Hi, it's me again. Wanted to do a video log. I'm gonna give a warning here that this video log will probably take about 2 to 3 videos to do because of the content it involves. So, going from there, I'm going to talk about depression, issues that I have that affect my daily life, and give a little background on where it came from and how I deal with it. But like I said, it might end up being 2 to 3 parts. Starting out, I got a diagnosis in November 2010 of childhood PTSD. There were two reasons behind, or two problems behind this childhood PTSD that I did not realize until more recently. The first was bullying, and that's what I'm going to talk about right now. And then if I have time at the end of the video, I'll go into the other. Bullying for me is a big issue because from the time I started school until I was graduated, well, maybe not all the way to graduation, but from the time I started school in kindergarten, I went through it. I was the bullied person. I was the victim of bullying. Fortunately, my bullying did not lead to a bad end. I think I've grown from it, really. To start, I was in kindergarten in 92, I believe. And it started out like any other school. You know, I figure, well, I'm new to school, so hey, let's go with this. But within a few weeks of starting, I realized there was this girl that did not like me. Or at least I didn't think she liked me, and I don't know if it's something that, you know, she just had against me or not. I don't know her reasonings behind it anymore. I don't want to know. It's behind me. But I did learn from it, so that's why it's still vivid in my mind. I remember crawling under tables in kindergarten and first grade, because those are the 2 years she bullied me. I'd crawl under these tables, and I'd sit there, and I would just shake, because I was in so much fear of this girl, and she had this power over me that I did not know how to work around. Fortunately for me, I had my 3 angels, is what I call them. 3 very good friends from those 2 years. Patrick, Jordan, and Katie. Patrick was a boy, and Jordan and Katie were girls. And they became my friends. Soon after she started bullying me, they started standing up for me. They would tell her, you need to go away, you don't have anything to say to her, you're not being nice. And of course, like children do, they would tattletale on her. I just kept my mouth shut because I'm like, I'm just going to take it, whatever. Back then, I let people walk all over me. So the bullying went on for about 2 years, and then in 94, my family moved back to Ephraim after having moved to Cedar City from here. I started 2nd grade here, and I went all the way through 9th grade, and then I did a quarter of my 10th grade year here in the area. Dealt with the bullying for all the way up until 7th, 8th grade. And that's when I started to realize that I needed to take a little bit of a stand for myself. I didn't start talking back. I didn't do an overnight change. It was something that my mom had always told me from the first time I told her about being bullied. She said, you're stronger than them, you can overcome this. She's like, if you ignore them and don't give them a rise, they will walk away because they don't get the justification out of bullying if they don't get a rise out of you. So, she taught me that at a very young age. And so I ignored him. I walked away, and then when I started maturing, of course, girls get boobs and whatever, the boys start realizing, hey, you know, wow, look at this girl. Of course, that really didn't happen for me until I was in high school, because I actually did not really get all of the matureness until high school. I was still, amazingly enough, flat-chested when I started high school, because I've looked at pictures. My 9th grade year, I did not deal with bullying as much. I don't remember any bullying actually that year. I was at a different school down in southern Utah. and got along really well with my peers. Even, I even recall that when I lived here in Ephraim for elementary and middle school, I would get teased for my lisp. And when I went to 9th grade, I was in seminary with my church, and I had this kid walk up to me one day. He was the most popular kid in the school, and he said, "Dude, I wish I had a lisp." And I'm like thinking, no, you don't. You really don't want a lisp. And I ignored it. I was like, whatever, I don't want to talk about my lisp. It's something I've got over in the last 6 months or whatever. But a couple days later, he's like, "I seriously love that you have a lisp. I really wish I had one." And that's when I decided, well, I'm going to tell him a little bit about why I don't like my lisp. So I told him, and he's like, "Are you serious?" He's like, "That would be so cool to have a lisp. I would not tease you." And I'm sitting here thinking, are you kidding me? This kid, who is exactly like the kids that teased me at my last schools, is not teasing me for my lisp. He actually enjoyed it. He wanted me to talk. And I hated talking because when I was a child, because of my fear and the way I was, my lisp freaked me out. I did not want anybody to hear it. Anyway, so we moved away from Hurricane after 9th grade. Came back up here. I went to my first quarter of 10th grade up here. And I noticed a definite change in my friends up here. Because I don't know if it's they realized that I had been out of Sanpete County, because it's a very close community here. Everybody knows your business, pretty much. And I didn't know if it was that or something else, but when I came back for 10th grade, I wasn't shunned anymore. I noticed that I was welcomed by everyone. All these kids I had tried to be friends with, because I wasn't a groupie. I didn't hang on to one group or another. I tried to involve myself in any group I could. Of course, I did have a specific group, which was the drama club kind of people. Which actually, when high school hit, they all kind of went their separate ways. A bunch of them went one way or another. You know, I still had the drama freaks. But I loved them. They were my friends. They were the ones that I hung out with all the time. But 10th grade, I realized I didn't have that bullying. And then, so I was amazed at how the schooling went. I got a little bit of teasing in my California schools we went to because I was minority, being white, because it was a highly Native American Mexican school. In addition to being me and my little sister were the only two Mormons in the school district. And then I had a very big break from bullying. I didn't get bullied again, and I realized this while I was talking, that in the military, I had a girl that absolutely hated me. I don't know what her problem was. She went to a different company in my basic training, but she was in my same basic training with me. She was in AIT with me, which is the advanced training, and she went to driver's training with me to drive truck. And she ended up in my same company, platoon, whatever. And I was like, whatever, I'm not going to rise to the occasion, but all the time, she'd get to me. And I'll play into that a little bit more in my next video, because it has to do, some of her bullying had to do with what happened with it. But she just did not like me. She made trouble for me. She would accuse me of doing things that I did not do, and I apologize for putting it this way, but she was a whore. We would hear stories about her sleeping with one guy or another, and it's like, that was actually what she was known for in our barracks. She was known to be the whore, and she put it off that I was. And I'm like, okay, hold up a second. That's not me. I'm not that way. But I'll go into a little bit more about her bullying later, but since then I haven't had bullying much. So here is to bullying. Next video will be coming up soon.